What is happening, everybody? I hope everyone had a great 4th of July. I took some time off, hung out with my dad. It was great. So there wasn't a video last week, but there's a video this week. So here we go. The Lowe's Garden Center in Republic, Missouri. Let's get in there and see if we can find ourselves some little beauties. First place I walk over to is typically the trees, and they've done a very good job of selling out of their trees. Usually this time of year, there's some trees kind of hanging out in the heat, and they usually don't look very good. But look, they've done a fantastic job of selling out of their stock early spring, which is nice to see. A little demoralizing when you want to get a tree for 50% off, but this is what they have left in their clearance area for trees. So there's some grapes over here, and then there's a couple red buds that have blown out of the pot. Can you see this one right here? Let me flip you all around real quick so you can take a look at that. See how it's hanging out of the pot? Look at that guy hanging out of the pot because it wasn't grown in very well. So there's probably a 7-gallon pot, wasn't grown in very well. They push it out, and then we get these big windstorms, we get these thunderstorms, it blows the trees out of the pot. So doesn't look like we're running into that issue with this crabapple here, but it just says it's a red flowering crabapple. So we need to look at the tag, get a little bit more information. And we're gonna look at the botanical name. Okay, so this just says Malus crabapple, floribundus rubra, which means it's red. So not a named variety crabapple, which is not necessarily your best choice for crabapples. I'm gonna go ahead and throw that out there. They are gonna be susceptible to cedar apple rust. I just go with the named varieties, but we're gonna get a price on this anyway because it's a very, very attractive specimen for a 7-gallon, $59.99, and this is on clearance, so it's 50% off. This little guy here probably should have been in a 5 instead of a 7 because it wasn't grown in very well. I still might take a chance on it, but I'm not paying 50% for it. So this might, if I needed a red bud, this might be in the negotiation area. Yeah, 59 for that, 50% off. I'd give them $5 for it just to try it out, see what happens. But that would be up to you guys. I don't need any red buds right now. So there's one red bud that's in pretty good shape. There's another one that's fallen out of the pot also. So you have 2 that are falling out of the pot, one that looks halfway decent, $25 for one in a 7-gallon. But we can use reasonable deduction and say that the one that hasn't fallen out of the pot yet is probably not grown into that 7-gallon. Does that make sense? So it's probably still a 5-gallon that never really popped out. Not busting Lowe's chops about that, just saying the growers are pushing them out too quick. They're not letting them grow in. That would probably be something that I would try to carry over until next year if I was the grower, but I don't know. Nobody really knows who the grower is, so it's not like your reputation's on the line. Lowe's is really the ones that are gonna take the hit for that. So it is what it is. We're walking past echinacea because I'm a fiend. Look how pretty all these are. We went over them last week. I'm not going to do that again with you guys this week. And then they throw more echinacea right in my face. These are pretty though. I do like those Adobe series. Adobe orange. I don't know. I don't even know if that was an Adobe, but it's pretty. Artisan collection, yellow umber. All right, and then we have some really pretty yarrow. This is Sky Sails Fire Yellow, Fire Yarrow. Boop. It didn't have a smell. That was just for dramatic, really just for cinematics. Okay, well, we've got some more clearance over here. Throwing the clearance out front. I cheated. I just looked to see if there was more clearance over there. There's a couple racks. All annuals. Looks like some false cypress over here. Lemon thread false cypress. There's 3 lemon threads, false cypress down at the bottom. Look like they're in pretty good shape. Oh, and then we got more over here. Look at all these guys. Lemon thread. Is it a big boy? I don't know, I can never tell. 3 to 5 feet wide. What's this say? 2 to 4 feet. 3 to 4 feet tall, 2 to 4 feet wide. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. How much are these bad boys? $22.98. So 50% off. Get all of them for $11. Look like 2 gallons. That is not a bad deal because they have enough of them. Moving on. That is a good price. Look, there's some sunfinities up here. Some sunfinities on clearance. Looking a little rough. Remember, these are annuals. Well, for me, they're going to be annuals. And they bounce back pretty good. And there's plenty of year left. Ooh. These designer threads, heartstrings, coreopsis. Not so pretty right now, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 for $7. Nah, too rich for my blood. $5 a piece. I might pull those out and donate them to the hospital. We'll see. We'll see. We'll see. More clearance. More clearance over here. Look, everybody, a Shasta daisy that doesn't look good on the clearance rack. Imagine that. Imagine that. What are the odds that a Shasta daisy would just be giving up? Huh. Well, nothing really over here. Cannas. You guys like cannas? We have a type of canna that grows reliably every year, comes back. You don't even have to pull them out of the ground. But I don't really go towards that tropical aesthetic very often. We do have a hardy banana that does pretty good here too. All right, why don't we go inside, see if there's anything we might want to talk about in there. All right, hobos, let's go. All right, we're walking. What a fun nursery. Garden center. What a fun garden center. Do enjoy just walking around. Sometimes I don't even get anything. But I saw these caladiums over here. Look how pretty those are. $10.98. This is Heart to Heart, Heart's Delight. That's good looking right there. I like them. A nice size. Heart to Heart, White Wonder. So it looks like Heart to Heart is the series. Very pretty. Okay. But you know what? What really caught my eye, and we're gonna go look at those caladiums real quick. Ooh. Wow. Look at that. That's pretty. Heart to Heart, Rose Glow. And these are PW. Oh, these are in a smaller container. Look at these guys. That peachy color. Heart to Heart, Hot Flash. I'm getting some hot flashes looking at all these caladiums. These are cool. Uh-oh. They're crinkly. You're hating on the crinkly stuff. All right. This is Heart to Heart, Splash of Wine. That is pretty.
Yeah. Landscape risky. Another Saturday at Lowe's. You already know. Hey, our garden ain't easy. Much bag stacking to the ceiling. Garden ain't easy. Every paycheck catches feelings. Garden ain't easy. Weeds keep plotting every season. Garden ain't easy. But somebody's gotta give these flowers a reason. I got dirt on my boots and bark in my truck. Wallet says stop, but I'm testing my luck. Walked in for one holster, that's all I would need. Left with 12 perennials and decorative seed. Cashier just smiled like she seen this before. I said just pot and soil, now I'm on cart 4. Butterfly bush, better check that tag. Some are sterile, some will make your neighbors mad. Pre-emerging down before the spring rain starts. Bermuda grass trying to break my heart. Fusilier ready, gloves on tight. Me versus crabgrass every Saturday night. Much bag stacking to the ceiling. Garden ain't easy. Every paycheck catches feelings. Garden ain't easy. Weeds keep plotting every season. Garden ain't easy. But somebody's gotta give these flowers a reason. Mountain Dew fueled me for most of my life. Now it's sparkling water, trying to get right. Still buying perennials every chance I get. The clearance rack's my favorite bad habit yet. Neighbors ask, man, why you work so hard? I say because weeds don't respect my yard. Deadhead is divide that clump. Half my YouTube checks came from killing one stump. Host is multiplying like rabbits in June. I'm splitting divisions underneath the moon. Hobos are horticulture, that's the crew. Moach on, stay curious, you know what to do. Garden ain't easy. Today's video is sponsored by ButterHelp. Spread it on everything, even your problems.
So I'm walking through here, I'm talking to employees, having a really good time. I'm forgetting to film. I wish we could just all get together in a big group and just meet at a Lowe's sometime. But we're spread out all across the country, so it's difficult to do that. So this is what we're gonna have to do. This right here, for me to hang out with you guys. That's what we're gonna have to do. Okay, so little sidebar. There was a country song over there. I don't know what it was, but it's blaring on the radio, so I had to move over here or I'm gonna get demonetized for not having license-free music. A copyright strike, that's what I don't want. But the guy was talking about, I guess his girlfriend was cheating on him, and he was telling her, you know, she can have his old dog Blue and his pickup truck and his best fishing spot if she just come back. And this might be a little bit of a tangent, but in his house, and I'm thinking, nice steak dinner, suggestive haikus, you could get yourself another girl, but you cannot get yourself old dog Blue back or another pickup truck. How expensive pickup trucks are. Your best fishing spot, that's a one-in-a-lifetime thing. I've dated plenty of girls I ended up not liking very much, but I've never had a bad dog. I've always had good dogs. Jeez Louise, depressing. All right, so I digress. Let's take a look at the clearance rack over here. There's a lot going on. There's a lot of good clearance. This whole section is clearance at Republic, Missouri. So if there's any locals, Republic, Missouri is top notch for clearance this week. Pink double knockouts. There's some red doubles down here. Look very good. Look, nothing wrong with those. Typical kind of 2-gallon nursery stock. There's some Super Start Spirea. Let's go over there and take a look at those. There's really nothing going on the actual rack. Got some of them Janice Brown daylilies for $8.48. $8.48 is gonna take us $4. Pretty good deal. You see how well those do in my garden. If not, you just watch the Lowe stuff. I'm cool. You just watch the nursery me walking around, walking talks at the nursery. I'm fine with that, but there is some videos that show you that that I do plant this stuff when I buy it. Oh, this is True Love. True Love. Also on clearance. True Love Rose, $24.98. And this one, hardy to zone 4, 4 through 10. Does not give me a height. It says we should space it 2 feet apart. So maybe 4 by 4. Okay, so the big thing, I don't know how disease resistant they are. I usually pass until I can do some research. The last thing I want to do is pick up a rose like the Everyday Rose. Is it Everyday? Something Sundays? Happy Sundays? I don't know. It was a couple years ago. We found some of them on clearance for like $8. I planted them. They did not make it through the winter, even though they were supposed to. And then I got Dr. Huey's coming from the rootstock. And they're still there. And they're 12 feet tall. So they use the rootstock of the Dr. Huey because it's so tough, basically indestructible. And they usually overtake the rose. That's why I'm a big fan of the Grace and Grit, because it's on its same rootstock. I've never had that issue with knockouts. So anyway. Are these coral? Yeah, look at this. The coral knockouts on clearance right now, normally $24.98, so they'd be $12 a piece. That is a really pretty knockout. So that's kind of cool that they have those. I like that. Here is that Superstar. Oh, Superstar Spirea. That's really pretty. I forget the height on these. Oh yeah, it's a little guy too. 2 to 3 feet tall, 3 to 4 feet wide for $26.98. Not too bad for $13.50. That's a good looking plant. You're popping in anywhere. Okay, now, and there's some barberry over here. They look like Crimson Queens. Yep, Crimson Pygmy. I said Crimson Queen like the Japanese maple. It's my first day. Crimson Pygmies. They've got like 3 of those. I'm not a big fan of the Crimson Pygmy barberries. I'm more of a Concord guy. So if I'm gonna use barberry, I'm gonna use the Concord. That makes sense. Those daylilies are nice. I knew I cheated a little bit because when I was talking with one of the employees, just shooting the bull about nursery stuff, garden center stuff, I saw a lady come through with some on her cart. I was like, ah, that's a good buy. Now, here's something that you guys might really like. So this is Amber Jubilee Ninebark. Okay, so looks very, very good. This is what started the conversation with the employee. They've just been here forever. Now, here's the thing about Ninebark. Little Devils are the only ones that I really use often. It's because they only do 4x4. Little Devils are a good Ninebark. It's kind of like the medium size, middle tier kind of a plant when you're building in layers. The Amber Jubilee gets 7 feet tall, 6 feet wide. This would be back tier. And for me, that means I have to choose between this or a panicle hydrangea. And that is, I love the colors. It's very hard to, it's like dating a beautiful woman and there's another guy that's chasing her around, but he's 6'4". He's a college Heisman Trophy winner and he's going to medical school, right? Yeah. That's the panicle hydrangea. I'm the Ninebark. Very hard to compete. Very hard to compete. Especially because neither one of them are evergreen. And so you run into that issue. Here's another one. Summer wine is a very pretty 9-bark. It's pretty. I don't have a problem with 9-bark other than they get so big. Summer wine, 8 feet tall and wide. I mean, just go expect that to happen if you're using those basic home gardening fundamentals where you're feeding the soil, you're having a nice thick layer of mulch, you're watering your plants during stressful heat, you know, in that intense heat. Why not? Why won't it get in full sun, plant it where it goes? Why wouldn't it get 8 by 8, right? So us having this wishful thinking that it's only going to get 5 by 5 because that's within the range of what the grower says that it can achieve. I mean, what are the odds of that? You're really good at your job. You are not going to plant it in full shade, which sometimes they have a tendency to stress, or sometimes they have a tendency to stretch out when you put them in those stressful situations. They're just not made for that, right? They don't like it. Okay, so and they're just not going to look good, right? But you're better at your job than that, right? So you're going to plant a 9-bark or you're going to plant an elderberry in an area that it's going to thrive, and you're going to give it what it needs to reach its full potential. Why wouldn't you just assume 8 by 8? So if I'm building a flower bed and I want to use some layers, I have to have a 20-foot flower bed, right? Because you're thinking, well, I've got 8 feet, right? Because I want it to reach its full potential. I want to take full benefit of the genetics of that plant. I want to take full benefit of those. 8 feet, then I want to work in something mid-tier, right? Now, the good thing about 9-bark, very trimmable. I have never lost a 9-bark because I trimmed it too hard. They don't seem to care. They are a very tough plant. So the little devils down at the hospital, I pruned those all the way to the ground just because there were so many weeds. So the seed bank over there must have been this thick with weed seeds, and they're almost to maturity now. They're almost 4 feet. So I pruned them back over the winter. And of course, I gave everything a little snacky poo back in March. And so, you know, everything's looking really good. Those 9-barks look sharp. So don't ever worry about trimming a 9-bark, but just understand that that's the rest of your life until you take that plant out. And eventually you're going to lose the fight because the plant is going to continue to grow roots. Doesn't matter what you're doing to the top mass. And then it's got all those factories just cranking out. It's like America in World War II. Just, you knock them back for a little while, but doggone it, they're going to crank out some ships. They're going to crank out some tanks. And that's what 9-bark does. That's what crepe myrtles do. You cut them back, but they're 7 years old. They're 8 feet tall by the end of the year because they've got all that infrastructure just pumping new growth. Okay. I don't know how somehow managed to work in military analogies. I'm sure I'll hear about it in the comments. Okay, so that's it. So the Amber Jubilee, there's another one over here, is a great price because they're normally $26.98, but they're half off, and there is a bunch here right now. So if you've got a bigger area, and that's what I'm saying, if you've got a large area where you can just let these things go, do it. And then in the spring, knock them back about 3 feet and just let them reflush. So that way they're nice and full, kind of in the center, and then they get a little bit more wispy at the top. I like it when 9-bark look like that, but I want 9-bark to be 9-bark. I don't want 9-bark to be boxwoods, right? I'm not gonna make a hedge out of 9-bark unless the hedge is 8 feet by 8 feet, right? So you could square them up, you could trim them up a little bit, add some formality, but just remember that they grow quick. They're not slouches when it comes to growing. Okay, so you reduce your maintenance by planting them where they go, the right size. So that's it for the clearance. I mean, there's some Weigela over there, wine and roses Weigela. I don't know if we need to talk about that. Spilled wine, maybe. I can't tell from here. Let's see. Yep, wine and roses Weigela is another one. I just like to, I trim these pretty hard. I knock them back pretty good. I don't know. I think they look a little scraggly if you don't constantly messing with them, and they take a little bit more micromanaging if you want them to look good. Other parts of the oh, you think I'd learned my lesson eating all that Mexican food for breakfast for the past 3 weeks in a row. The Weigela is just kind of, oh, here it is. The Weigela is just kind of one of those plants that I feel like needs some oversight, if that makes sense. You don't really let them go. They don't impress me when I let them go. I've got to work on them a little bit. And here's a lace up. Oh, black lace. Doggone it. I always guess, and I never get it right. $28.98 normally. It's on the clearance. So I know you guys love the elderberry, and I love them too. But it's another one of those plants that, man, they really do good if you can just let them go. They really do well. They need to let their freak flag fly, you know? Let them get big. Let them get big. There's no sense in trying to tell a elderberry or a ninebark what to do. You don't tell them what to do. They will rebel against you. All right. Well, I'm sorry for this is a little bit of a smaller Lowe's, but I do like coming here. This is one of my favorite places to come out of the 4 or 5 Lowe's that I have access to. I really just flip-flop back between the Springfield Primrose store, Republic, and Ozark. Those are the two, you know, which are in the Springfield metro area. Those are the three that I like to go to the most. So, not a whole lot going on, but I've enjoyed it. I really enjoyed hanging out with you guys. It's nice that you guys got to entertain me on Saturday morning. My name's Stuart Moore, and this is Landscape Rescue. And thank you very much for letting me into your home to talk about plants.